we go. No. Here we go. And go. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. Select your mission. All right. Tonight. Picking up. And one thing that happened today was the sort of a very soft test of whether a day stream could happen, and test was attempted, moderately successful, and a lot of that motivation was the impending tomorrow I'm on a job, but today I was not, and I knew I had a window to cram in as much Zelda-ness as possible today, so I did a little stream around noon. Actually had a few lurkers come and unlurk themselves, and some chatting, much fun, some ranting, some good times. And one thing that I did was I put together this fun, hello hot local grandpa, I put together this fun in the industry we might call this like a one sheet or a contact sheet, but this is basically a collection of select keyframes that we are sort of treating as a roadmap forward to what if this giant big old collection of cool images that are rough were more polished looking. And so that is going to be part of the goal moving forward, but not the only goal. Part of the fun of discovery is realizing what you didn't know. And so I don't like to make goals, because I like discovering what wants to happen as we go. And it's clear that in addition to having the priority of cool finished sample artwork, finished pieces, is the discovery of the collaboration with the community and getting input on things that could and should be different. That's all good. This counterweight here, for instance, was a viewer suggestion. With these, I suggested these spikes here, but yes, these we all have our and especially with this one, I was sort of feeding off the group vibe, and here, taking suggestions, being conscientious of audience reaction. That's part of our motif now. We're not this isn't done in a vacuum anymore. So but and I said before last stream that it would be cool if we here's the offender in question. So this is the one that I did, that when I did it, I was drinking a lot that night. And also, this was one of those streams where actually not many people, if anybody was watching, no one was chiming in. And so maybe that night my heart wasn't in it. And I think it's an outlier among these many images where I don't know. I think I can do better. I have some ideas. Big Fairy Boo. Oh, you saw that one, huh? Here, we can go back. Where did that go? Yeah, here we are. Whee! That's good stuff. She's not like the other fairies, as she would say. But yes, this one I feel like we can perhaps revisit, do better, or simply replace it. You were there for the booba one, or this one, the one with the spiders. These are the Tektites. Okay, good. I'm glad you were. That one was inspired, you know. But you can tell when I'm just phoning it in. This one is the outlier. We can do better than this one. So we'll either redo it or replace it. But the rest of these I feel have a lot of merit. The other possible outlier is this one, which is an homage to a very specific piece of instruction booklet artwork. Basically, the instruction book artwork was depicting the same thing, but this is my attempt to improve it. But I still think it's cool, and it's not. This is not a study. I simply attempted to make a better version of what they were drawing. So for right now, that can remain. The rest of these are cool. This was my first one, and I think it's still pretty decent. But my opinion may change. Okay, so, you know, tonight's stream is brought to you by the CVS Health nighttime cold and flu relief, fueling your creativity, fighting a bit of a head cold. I hope I don't sound like I'm underwater. I feel like I am. But we press on. Oop, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Here. This is the steering. Okay. But isn't it cool to see, in what feels like a short amount of time, although I know I've been doing this about 2 months, we've got a full set of 24 images, or at least after tonight we will. And from here, we will diverge into 2 paths. At least I think we will. The current template of the riff with the group, catch the vibes, and sketch what comes up kind of thing, that should continue and will. What is the second row down, second from the left? You mean this one? So this was a so I was particularly drunk this night, and I had a well, I was wondering if there was a you know, I have a, I don't call it a belief, but hunch that, like, well, in video games we can create so it's typical that, yeah, you did miss this one, I think. So it's typical, I think, for video games to just sort of, like, when they get converted into other formats like movies and comics, to just sort of like, it's like, we don't know what to do, so let's just make fun of it and make it a trope and all these things. And I know the Zelda cartoon was kind of treated that way, and probably other things. But what I try to do, in order to bring a deeper, more sincere sense of honoring the subject matter, is to treat it extremely seriously. And what are the implications of that kind of thing? So in this, I was toying around with, I think I even have other images. I can show the, let's see here. Well, somewhere I have it, the fairy. So this was fairy 1. So I was toying around with the idea of, what if Link knew that he needed fairies to complete his quest, but also knew that, you know, like, I don't know, is there a moral a moral conflict to, I mean, don't you consume a fairy to, I don't know, you don't eat them or whatever, but you use them up. I mean, their powers are, taken. And if nothing else, you keep them in a bottle. Is that, ethical kind of a thing? It was just sort of, so I sketched this to sort of show a, like, Link has captured a fairy. In this drawing, what we're looking at here, Link has captured a fairy, but he feels bad about it. And the fairy is sort of making him feel guilty. After I sketched it out, among other things, I just didn't really, I just wasn't too impressed with what I drew. So I gave it another shot where Link, here he is, he's basically trapped under the burning, hairy spider legs of Gamora, or is that the right? There's a dungeon boss that's basically a big spider, and Link is basically almost dead, and there's he's lying in a burning field, and his only hope is to use a fairy at this point. So he uncorks her, and in the to show. The problem with this other sketch was it was too much of the same emotion. So we've got Link feeling bad and the fairy feeling bad, and it's like, it's just bad, What makes this appealing is Link, the reluctant Link, and he might feel bad. Of course, he's damaged, but he has no other choice. And here we've got the fairy feeling more than willing to sort of uphold her end of the bargain, kind of thing. And there's a little bit of sex appeal there too. And I felt like that was a more interesting image. So let's see here. There's an interesting discussion. Navi disappears after probably Link defeats Ganon is because her purpose has been fulfilled. It's the same with the pink fairies. Once they heal someone, their purpose has been fulfilled. A very interesting take. Yes, I ultimately have, sometimes you don't know things until you draw them, and then you're like, well, now that I've drawn it and made it real, it doesn't make sense. So the answer must be something else, and that's what I ended up with, is that fairies don't mind, or maybe they intend to be. Yeah, we've got all your we'll autocorrect in our minds for you, local grandpa. But yes, the yeah, I think we're on the same page with, we don't have to, even if we know that, let's see, for every hero that resurrects, a fairy loses its life, kind of a thing. There's this bargain, but that's what sacrifices are. And as my old teacher would say, a sacrifice is where you trade something good for something even better. So this is what is the bargain here. And we've got a lot of effects going on, and it just made for a more interesting image to show why, if nothing else, why Link needed the fairy, as opposed to here, it just felt cruel and stupid, and everybody just feels bad. And here we understand the meaning of it. So, yeah. So, we don't always get it on the first try. And yeah, of course, fairies get reborn. Of course they do. Just like, it's the water cycle and the nitrogen cycle and all those things. Well, one thing I was discussing about this image is there are a couple things wrong with it. This Tektite, and this Tektite are too similar in size. So it's not really doing much. We could, where we could be playing with scale, we're not. So that's wasted opportunity. This boulder, which is crashing down, but you can't really tell because it's the same size as this boulder and this boulder, and there's a lot of similarness in the forms, that wasn't necessarily intentional. And as a result, it just sort of looks like a big lump of mashed potatoes and with some peas on it, kind of thing. Well, I don't know if it doesn't bother me that they're all the same size relative to each other, but relative to the their proportions on the screen, where I could be showing like one very up close, like up here in the corner. You know, I don't know. They're not giving the impression we get from this one is the same we get from this one is the same we get from this one. It's the same note. Although they're in slightly different poses, they're only slightly different. Why not make them dramatically different? Give them absolute something that is absolutely distinct. They can justify themselves. And the same thing with the rocks. The rocks could be doing something distinct. And then this is supposed to be Death Mountain way up there, and I drew it in the distance, but it's not appreciable. What could we do about that? We just need to try this again. And we see the mistakes we've made. Let's do it again, but not make the mistakes. I bet we could come up with something cool. So I'm going to engage a new... Oh, I also did a quick little fixing clinic on an image from a... This was a screenshot from a comic that someone in the stream was saying, oh yeah, it's something is like something, and we were looking at this, and I took exception with the way this hand and this hand were depicted, kind of the way that like it felt like both of these arms were going in the same direction, whereas one should more clearly be pointing towards us and the other should more clearly go away, and this foot needed to have this. See, it's just better when you've got these arcs. Do you see the difference in this arc? Just feels like... And then it was subtle to me, but here you can see the way that the armor was sort of curving around like this. I redrew it, and I had it going more deliberately in the opposite direction in a way that makes it feel deliberate, and it looks better. Now the pose feels more, to me, I feel like it's better. It's improved. So, just something. Oh, and I smoothed out some of these wrinkles because these bunched up ones. Thank you. The cape here with all of these, you know, I know the cape has texture and whatever, but like here, it doesn't feel like it's carrying the movement of this really rapidly moving form. So I streamlined it a bit to give it more a greater sense of motion. I feel like that was a better idea. And you can see these arrows that I drew are sort of reinforcing the intent. This arm is coming towards camera. This arm is going away from camera. Yes, exactly. The cape in motion is not going to be bunched up. And here it's all bunched up. Now, you know, the artist was like, well, how bunchy should it be if, you know, if it's a bunchy cape, it's going to have some bunchiness kind of a thing, but you got to set that aside and be like, okay, you know, just sacrifice that for now, because it's looking, if you draw a bunch of detail into something, it arrests it. It makes it look like it's standing still, because when things move, they blur and they smear and they, you know, they spaghettify kind of a thing. At least in our eyes, they do. Okay. Enough of that. All sorts of drawing clinics going on here. All right. Painter. New image. Ooh, it's bright. I'm going to move this image. In fact, I'm just going to close it because it is sucking up lots of random. Well, I have an idea for of course I was like, oh, I should write that down, and then I don't, and then I forget. But I recently went to Alaska, and I was wondering if I should draw an image that has Link in like wintry Hyrule or Winterland, or you know, snow area of Hyrule, because I took a lot of cool reference images that could be dope. And then when I wrote this down on a post-it note, and it says Dark World Enemy Medley. And there's just a few, you know, there's actually several distinctive enemies in the Dark World campaign of Legend of Zelda that are neat. You could, you know, I could draw them sort of all together. Twilight Princess has a real cool snowy biome. Great. Then that would be a good analog for it. But I should say that just because I've got now my main 24 set, that doesn't mean we're not still pressing forward with coming up with more ideas. It's just 24 is sort of the magic number where I feel I reach my optimum efficiency for rendering out in my classic storyboard style, which we've yet to even see on this stream. And I've got these hacks, these ways that I draw that are efficient and get things done quickly. But that's not necessarily as entertaining as far as like the audience engagement kind of, hey, let's, you know, what should I draw here kind of thing. We all chime in. You know, if I'm rendering, it's pretty much like I'm just taking the rough drawing and making it clearer kind of a thing. But there's a lot of decision making that actually gets, that actually isn't needed. It's pretty much muscle memory for me at that point. So whether or not that's as entertaining as coming up with a rough drawing, I have my doubts. So and this is just water. I'm thirsty today. Okay. Well, let's think. I don't really want to look at that image. So there will be more cool drawings being roughed out, as well as cleanups on the stuff already done. But I just want to do another stab. And one thing I know I want to do is go wider with the like the Death Mountain ascent. Let's see more of Death Mountain. Link reuniting with Darunia. I don't remember who that is. Not good, but I don't. Was that from Twilight Princess? Ocarina of Time? Yes, I did. Oh, the Goron leader, yes. Yeah, exactly. There's so much rich you know, there's rich source material with all this stuff. So it's like a bottomless well. You can do all kinds of cool homages to cool stuff. If I'm not mistaken, they had this kind of cool you meet him again in the Fire Temple as adult Link before he dies and becomes the Sage of Fire. Huh. Ocarina of Time I played when I was like 14 years old. Took me forever to beat too. I love that game though. Oh my god, I gotta do something gross. Hang on. Pardon me. So bad. I've got my son's mini training potty over here, using it as a spittoon. It's not good, but it is. It's all I got right now. What I'm trying to see if I can do is get an improved silhouette on Link. And we might have to take a few stabs at this. Tektite's attacking. But making sure that we follow my own little guidelines so that we can make sure that the dynamics... Okay, I've got an idea. Link could be battling and climbing at the same time. Very difficult. I wonder, like, could he... Might he be holding his shield here? And he's sort of like clutching his sword as he's climbing. That's kind of cool. And if you have any genius inspirations or takes, let me know. But what I want is like a serious struggle of Link going up a mountain that the mountain itself looks super perilous. Maybe there's even like lava like bursting forth, you know, kind of a thing. Lava streams coming down. There could be, and then, you know, the famous sort of the rocks, the avalanches, lava pools, bursting bubbles, spitting up some magma. So what's tricky about that is what I've decidedly got this up. Like, we're low looking up, so what we're not going to see, like, we're not even seeing horizon at this point. I think we could justifiably see like the tops of some clouds down here, kind of a thing. And you know, maybe we could see some kind of like lavaness going by. I don't know if I love that though. Bloop. You know, it's tricky. I don't know if I hate it, but I don't know if I love it yet. I have to think. And I also want to avoid having, because this is what I did last time, was I was like, oh, rocks. Just like big boulders. And this is what the boulders look like where I live. But, let's do something a little more dangerous looking. Something more geometric, jagged. I mean, I still don't even know. Let's see. Maybe if it were closer camera on... or a closer camera on an exploration type image. I'm not sure I understand. Let's make this look farther away. I want to make this Tektite can look like it's almost bounced off Link's shield. Cool people coming in. Ah, eyeballs. Incoming. Yes, something where we could see things from like a higher vantage point. That would just be, yeah. That I think that like I want to do like a later on down the road a different version where, not a version, but like this is him ascending, and we're really getting a sense of like, hey, everybody, going up to like going up kind of a thing, not a thing where we're sort of just peeking in on something. This is there's danger now, do something about it kind of moment. And I want a Tektite here, maybe even here. He's kind of doing this fun jump. And another Tektite here that's like getting ready to jump. It's like crouched down. And this is kind of working now. The although it's kind of complex, there's a fun kind of pose happening. Link is ducking but climbing. I'm using a funny blend mode. Okay, this will work better. I want him to be in good proportion. So I might have to shrink his head a bit because He looks a little young with the size of his head. This is a little more adult feeling. Give him some shoulders. A sense of link ass. And now here's the problem: is I've got him. This is totally fixable, but I've got him holding his sword in the wrong hand. Okay, this isn't bad. I can tell. It's got some legs, but it's a little much. I'm not sure if it's quite. I think I've got the shield basically just going in the wrong direction. Let's get the size right. Rocks hitting, falling. Maybe the rocks themselves need to be huge. Just bigger. Guy's too big. This guy needs to look more like Death from Above. And then there can be a guy back here who's doing the big jump. And then what is happening here? Okay, I don't like some things that are happening. I don't like the way that the sword is pointing down. Even if it's perfectly fine in terms of, hey, that's possible. I don't like it. I don't know if I quite like Link's head sort of having this orientation, even though we see a lot of his face and that's good. It feels just too strained. Well, the sword was actually just supposed to be like resting, like he's holding it and also sort of putting weight on his arm as he's like climbing up this thing. Not actually swinging it. Yeah, see, some of this stuff just isn't reading. Can it look more like he's looking up? This is not as good as I was hoping it would be. We might scratch this one, I gotta be honest. We still need an epic Death Mountain kind of scene, but I don't know if these Tektites are doing it for me. I gotta be honest, the cough syrup isn't hitting me right. Feeling a little woozy. Let's see here. You know, I probably skipped a step or something I shouldn't have, and let's give it 10 more minutes, and if I can't pull this thing out of the nosedive, we'll just call it a night. But hoping. All right, what is working? Yeah, there's shit that's not quite lining up in my head, and I think I know myself enough to know that I should fold my cards tonight. This is I'm finding something that isn't quite connecting in my head, and unlike in my normal work where I would force myself to finish, whether or not it looked good, I don't want to do that here. So, though this is a bit personally disappointing, I'm going to cut the stream off a little early tonight and just get some sleep. I think that'll be helpful. Maybe I'll feel better in the morning. But I really appreciate everyone coming by anyway, and I hope this doesn't sour anybody to the experience, but you know, I want this to be a labor of love, not just labor, you know, kind of thing. So, all right, I'm gonna say goodnight, and you know, no hard feelings, I hope. We'll just pick it up tomorrow. Good night, everybody. All right, no, I appreciate that. No, it's touching, but I'm gonna come back with a vengeance tomorrow. All right, I'll feel better, but I'll know better than to underestimate the severe cough and flu medicine of CVS knockoff NyQuil. All right, here, I'll save this nonetheless. Maybe we'll come back and check it out, but we'll do better tomorrow. All right, good night.